I don't know. I'm just questioning, like, how are we doing things and is it working?
Right.
And if it's not working well for any generation, maybe we need to rethink how we're doing some of these things.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Boom Clap podcast, where culture and conviction collide. I'm Rita Rogers.
And I'm Cecily Dickey.
All right. Just us today with you again on is this our first bi-weekly episode or second? Second bi-weekly? I don't know.
I think it's second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mother's Day one was the first.
For the summer, at least. We haven't decided how long this is going to last, but for the summer, at least, we're going bi-weekly, and it's just giving us a little reprieve from, making content all the time, so we can make memory content with our kids, I guess, in this busy season that is summer. So, I don't know, excited to have this conversation with you, Cecily, to revisit the where is the village topic a little bit. We might throw in a few current events if we have time, if we don't go too long on where is the village, because I know we both have thoughts and that could get extensive.
Yeah, you never know exactly where it's going to go once we really start talking. But it was a popular conversation with you guys. Whether you liked it or not is like a whole different situation. But so many people had thoughts on this topic. So we thought it was definitely worth circling back and just opening up and digging a little deeper.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I might just start by reading a few of the messages you guys sent me. Because there were messages sent on this topic, long messages, which tells me that you guys really, okay, this is something when I had said it to Cecily the other day, I don't know, like a few weeks ago or whatever, and we had this conversation on our own. I was like, I think other people are recognizing this or feeling it. And obviously you are, and people had different feelings on it, but everybody feels that there's something off. And that's the main thing that I want to communicate is like, regardless of if you think that I'm crazy in what I'm saying and that I'm way off base, or you're right on the money with me, or anything in between, I think almost everyone is feeling that there's something off in how things are going with raising children and the family, how that's playing out. There's something going on there. So, and
also like when you say everybody, we really mean everybody, like from age 20 to 70 or 80, like we've had messages, I think probably from that
all
whole
ranges.
Span. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this one says, I just listened to your Where's the Village podcast. Wow. I am in 10 days, 71 years old, orphaned at 15, had a rough childhood due to parents' illnesses and death, had one very loving grandmother who was affectionately called the Queen of Martyrdom. The truth, more truth than funny. And my husband had the typical house-dressed, always home cooked, always loving grandmother who, I say that just to tell you, sorry, this is a little hard to read here because it's kind of typed like you're talking. I say all that just to tell you my role models. But here I am today wanting nothing more than to be a loving, open-armed grandmother to our 12 grandchildren. But society won't let go of me. I still struggle being overweight, upset with how I look, wanting to wear current clothing, buying wrinkle cream, potions, detoxing, all the things. Our kids are successful adults and parents, but they don't really reach out for help or advice unless, of course, they are stuck and really need me. We share Instagram posts like BFFs, which I guess wouldn't want them not to share. And she says, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but I love this message. I mean, it was great because it just really gave insight into where somebody who's older than us is. And she said, I guess really what I want to say is I want to be their village. I want to be the grandma that's just happy with my looks and skin. Now should be my time to breathe easy, but 60 is the new 70. So 70 is still hard to keep up with. And then she tells us she loves our podcast and listens often, which is so sweet. But this message, I'm like, holy cow, I didn't even think about that, like the age thing and how like everybody's on social media. Like every age group is on social media. And so everybody's being target marketed to. It's keeping up with the Joneses for every age group now. And that it just made me a little sad to read, that she still feels like she has to keep up with all these things on her looks and like what releases someone from that,
Oh, yeah. I know. So it is a really interesting message. I so appreciate how honest she was.
Absolutely.
Because those are things that a lot of people wouldn't admit. And she's admitting it not only just for her own good, I think, but for the good of other people too, to understand like, hey, like these insecurities that people might be struggling with in their 20s or 30s or whatever, they don't actually necessarily go away. And it just points to this huge issue. And why are nuclear families so busy and not really reaching out? Well, maybe it's because they're also trying to keep up with the Joneses, even if they don't realize they're trying to keep up with the Joneses. It's just like, this is all normal life, quote, normal, what's now perceived as normal. People are just doing it, but it's actually just creating this dishealth, unhealthy stuff on all ends of the spectrum. And it's so unfortunate. So I really appreciated that message because I could really hear her heart shining through it. Like it reminds me of the Apostle Paul, where he's talking about like, why do I keep doing the things that I don't want to do? Why do I keep doing these things? And we can all resonate with that. We all do it, right? So yeah, I think it's so easy for parents of from our generation to be like, well, why aren't they more helpful? Or why do they, but to hear the other side of it is really important as well. Let's hear another one.
This one says, I feel like I was raised by the village, actually. My parents are both from large families. My childhood home was within minutes of where my grandparents lived, and the entire area is occupied by many of my dad's siblings and cousins and other distant relatives. My grandma and all other extended family, women all stayed home to tend to the home while the men all farmed. My dad was away a lot because he was a truck driver, so my mom needed help. The village always provides someone to help. But what I noticed was the women in my mom's age group all went back to work in the 80s. Then the people of the village, in quotes, took turns with each other's kids, but no one was running to multiple sports and activities like they do now. I feel like that started in my generation. I'm 47, by the way. I have no kids of my own, but I have been observing what you talked about for quite some time. My mom and I discuss it often, and I do believe it's what you said about our age group heading to colleges and moving away that hardly ever happened where I grew up. Hang on, sorry. I had to switch over because the screenshot was too long. It was very rare that any child left the area. So it's very nuanced as to where the village went. The older generation has died off and the glue is gone. And now more than ever, people are looking way out of bounds for what they need. What's near is either gone or isn't good enough. I don't know how much sense that all makes. I just wanted to sort of explain how I see it and why it's so different now. And I think that end part really resonated with me, like as far as people are looking way out of bounds, and what's near now is either gone or not good enough. And I can see that a lot because I feel like people are finding, I don't know if this has to do with social media. Let me know what you think about this. But I think social media has opened up a realization to how you maybe want to do things in your own life a little bit more. And you can find people who are more like-minded with you. Right. They may be further away, but you can find community that's like-minded. And it brings an awareness and shines a light on the fact that maybe the people that are actually in your life and close to you in community, especially being from a small community like us, there might be more people around you that don't do things the exact same way as you would do them or want to do them. And so you're seeking things that just don't exist around you. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Seeking things that don't exist around you. But then also, I think, and this is slightly different, but also sometimes seeking or pursuing something that you're not even fully ready for. Like you see someone on social media at like step 20. In their journey of living the way that you want to. Yeah, but you have to start at step 1, right? So it can also breed this discontent and also this desire to like overdo, because look at them not realizing that, hey, they've been at this for 10, 15 years and you are just starting to think this way or to want to live this way. So that's
even just from an aspect of finding the village, like you might be able to find people who are exactly like you in the same place. but it's harder to find maybe like right next door. Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you don't have a right next door. Like that's the challenge of rural living too, right? Like there's not necessarily someone who's right next door, let alone someone who you kind of share values with and want to share life with.
Yeah. And you know what? This brings me to a completely different subject, but I want to bring it up because when we had Keely on, from America Unwon, she talked about the real divide in America being between rural and city, and that doesn't necessarily mean people who live rurally or live in the city, but more of the mindset and ethos and everything she talked about that goes along with that. But I would say a lot of times rural people get painted as small-minded and that everybody has to be like them and all of that. But I actually think that it's harder living rurally to find people who are really like you. Like you may all live in the same community, but there's a lot fewer people. So you have to kind of be accepting of the people around you regardless, or like be alone. Like those are your options. And so living in a city, I think actually provides more of an opportunity to shut out the world that is unlike you and just hone in on people who are exactly like you.
That's a very interesting point. I think there's a lot of truth to that. And there's probably people from the city who aren't doing that and are like, oh, I don't know if that's true. But it does create that opportunity. It definitely presents the opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you mind if I read one?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I just listened to your latest podcast. When it was discussed, it takes a village, I had to correct my attitude. I'm a grandmother, a wife, a daughter, a sister, and the pressures of being in two places does not stop just because my kids have grown. So that's important to recognize, like, right? A grandmother, wife, daughter, sister. And the pressure of being in two places does not stop just because my kids have grown. My children are probably close to you and Rita's age, and they too have all the busy that you two have. They have often mentioned that we, the parents, should move closer to help. I'd love to be closer. However, they also do not live close to one another. So which one would we choose to live closer to? I worked and now I'm retired. My husband still dabbles in his business, but hopefully retirement is near. The constant conversation is now, we will be able to visit more often, which entails some help. We're okay with that. However, we still have responsibilities at home. There's aging parents and family. Our friends are here in our town, and being social is beneficial for aging. Our home is paid for, and we'd no longer be able to own a home at the cost now. Then there's the aspect of time to spend and do for us as a couple. We see the time clock ticking as well. Health issues will develop if they haven't already, I think is what she meant. The older women of today is not like yesterday. They had struggles, but they also had families surrounding them in an area. Their children didn't move away. Remember, there was a period of time that once you left home, mom and dad were put on a shelf. That's not a negative, but please don't make it seem that parents are not helping because it's a choice. There's wisdom that needs to be passed on from generation to generation, and it does take a village, but all must realize every part of life has needs, and that's the part that I think we really need to hone in on, right? Like every part of life has needs, and pointing fingers even slightly isn't helping the cause. I think that's a really good point. And like, I think of also like, we're to care for the widows, right? And and I'm not like, oh,
that's part of this conversation though.
It's all village, and we're probably failing like this younger generation, because this woman in a later message after I had messaged her back, she had said, it seems like this is a trend that people are complaining about, whatever generation is ahead of us. I get my generations mixed up. And I think I hadn't seen it at that point, but since then, I have seen it a little bit, mainly with the reel that you had sent me from Alex Clark's podcast or something.
Yeah, that came like a week after the episode. I was like, okay, I have never seen anything about this online. And then all of a sudden now I'm seeing stuff.
Yeah, so it's weird. Like maybe there was a trend happening that we didn't even know about. But yeah, I think maybe because of the stage of life that we're in, when we were talking about this, where is a village, that's probably what we highlighted, our stage, because that's what we're in and that's what we know. But I like that she pointed out like, hey, there's needs at every age and stage, and everybody in the village has a responsibility. And I think that's really true.
And I would say, like, I hope she understands, like, we're not, or my intention isn't to point fingers. It's to have a conversation as always.
Yeah.
And I absolutely brought up in the other episode, the moving away portion. And I did bring it up also in the episode we did with Allie Lundeen, because she was talking about her kids, like, helping them to develop a business because she wants her kids to be near. And this is something that's been on my mind for quite some time, because my generation was the first generation to broadly go to college and be pushed to go to college. I remember when I started high school, you were kind of pushed to do an honors track. And I went to public school. And you wanted to do these honors courses to be able to go to college. And everybody was sort of pushed to go to college, with the exception of people who did some trades classes in school and got really good jobs that way. But that was a small portion then. And again, those people were traveling a lot of times because they were doing welding careers and things. But I feel like that was something culturally pushed. And all of our parents kind of onboarded with that, like, go to college, get this good job, because they wanted good for us professionally. But nobody really considered what that was going to look like familially, you know, like, how is that going to play out for us family wise? And I only moved, you know, 4-ish hours from where my family lives, but that's still a day trip. That's not like you just pick up and go over to grandma's. And, I remember there was a little bit of, like, tension when I got married, because, like, I'm moving away and nobody moves away, but I'm like, what did you expect? Like, I went away to college, you know, like, like, if you go away to college and everybody's coming from all these different places, that's the most likely place to meet your spouse at that point. And so I don't know, I'm just questioning, like, how are we doing things, and is it working? And if it's not working well for any generation, maybe we need to rethink how we're doing some of these things.
Yeah. And I guess the question is too, like, I don't know, if there's people struggling like this, like we do, what is our responsibility in, like, finding that village, right? And it would be so nice if the village was family. But sometimes, like we've talked about, like, that's not always the option. And, like, hopefully, and this is something we should actually talk about too, hopefully your family, even if you're far away, can still be an emotional village for you.
Yeah. What is a village also? What is it? Do we mean
like
physically
not just someone to drive
emotionally?
To sports.
Emotionally,
like, not just
there.
Someone to drive. Like someone that you can call when you're having a hard time, someone that can remind you of the good that they see in you when you've had a horrible day, you know, just things like that. Like, I think that's actually probably the most important part of a village, is just having someone who knows you and can speak into your life, right? And so I guess no matter the age or stage, if you're finding yourself without a village, you have a responsibility to build one, I guess, right? And this is coming from someone who, my natural tendencies are I will isolate myself. Like, if given the opportunity, like, this is why it's such a good thing that I have a husband and kids, because you don't really have a choice to completely isolate yourself when you do. But if I didn't, I would, like, totally isolate myself. And, for the longest time, I didn't have close friends in my life. Like, you were one of my very first close friends. Like, because I had close, you know, friendships throughout elementary school and high school, but, like, never really had a desire to continue those relationships. I haven't seen most of them in years. And then, you know, got married young and met some friends who I would work with, like other nurses that I got to know. But it wasn't until just in these past couple of years that I've had real, true friends come into my life. And, you know, started with you. And then now through church. And the way that I got these friends was not necessarily from me, like, putting myself out there, like, help wanted, needing a friend, right? Because I didn't think I needed a friend. I thought I was just fine on my own, and thought friends would actually kind of be a bother. But
sometimes I
am. No, you're not. But it's just like, you don't realize until you have the village how much you need the village. And so I feel like you're one of those people for me that you're an emotional village. You can't be a physical village for me. Like, it's impossible. You're far away. But you're an emotional village for me. Like, even before we started recording today, how long did we talk? Like half an hour. Yeah. Just like a therapy session about
long
life,
enough that one of my kids came in and was like, you haven't started recording the podcast yet?
I thought you'd be done by now, right? Like it's an emotional village that we've somehow created, right? And then through church, like, I have these amazing in-person, real life friends that, like, just the other day we were saying to each other, like, if my kids ever need something, they're going to you. Like, if I can't be there for them, or if they need to have some sort of conversation that they're not having with me, they're going to you. Like, you are like their spiritual godmothers in a sense. And I feel like if you were near, you would be that for my kids too, but you're not. And so it's these two amazing ladies. And then other friends that it's like, we do parenting together through, like, our kids know each other from homeschool, and we commiserate and we encourage, and, you know, and then other people that I volunteer with. It's like, this is where the village has come from, just from like going out and being places and doing things. And all of a sudden the village finds you, and you didn't realize how much you needed a village, an emotional village I'm talking about, because all of these women that I'm talking about have families of their own, jobs of their own. They're busy. They can't be my physical village, but they're all an emotional village. And what that does for a person is huge. And I actually never knew that until these last few years.
And okay, I'm thinking about one of my friends that actually isn't physically really close either. She lives over an hour from me. It takes me an hour and 20 minutes to get to her house. But like, she is someone who, like, I look to and strive to be like her, because she is a physical village for people. Like, she is such a wonderful person. Like, I almost want to cry talking about her. Like, she's hard as a rock. Like, she's not somebody you look at like, she's so sweet. Like, you never think that about this friend. But like, I'm describing her really poorly, but she's like somebody who you don't think of as a sweet person, because she's hard as a rock. She is firm. She is like strict, like all these things, but she's constantly doing things for other people. She's taking people meals. Like, if somebody's kid has cancer, she's going over and giving the shots for them and like taking care of them, and like, just such a good person. Like, drives out to North Carolina to help during the after the hurricane and all of these things. Like, she's just like this person that takes care of other people really well. And she's been a really good example for me, because I love other people really well, but sometimes my intentions are better than the follow through.
Oh, me too.
And like, I'm always like, oh, I need to take that person a meal. And then like a week later, I'm like, crap, I didn't take that person, you know? So I'm constantly thinking about my friend Krista a lot, and just reminding myself, like, I need to be a little more like her and just do the little things for people really well. Yeah.
I have a friend like that here too, who I've been trying to help other people get to know her a bit, which sounds so vague, but I don't want to speak too directly to this situation, just in case anyone listening can figure it out. But I'm trying to help people get to know her value, because I see it so clearly. And people often be, isn't she just like a little harsh? I'm like, it may be harsh, like a diamond is harsh. You know, like a diamond is like, you run smack into a giant diamond and you're going to be bleeding, you know, like, but also the most valuable. And it just reminds me, like, the way you describe your friend Krista, it's just like, this friend for me does things that I didn't know friends did. Just like shows up, like with my son, who thankfully is doing so much better, but has had really serious health issues and skin issues that have just plagued him. Researching and buying creams for us from like other countries and delivering them to our home, like, and researching for us and buying me gifts that like I had maybe just mentioned in passing, like, oh, that's really cool, or oh, I love that. All of a sudden, this gift is like at my house, you know, or just volunteering a little when our kids were a little bit younger to just come and spend the day with them. just because she loves me, that she wants to love my kids. And it's like, that's a village. And sometimes a village can come in one person.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. But like, how can you be the village to that person too? Because they're going to need a village too.
Yep. Cecily was just asking me how warm it has been here. And I mentioned that I wore shorts for the first time yesterday. And she was like, I hate having to get that first tan. So the first tan, use Rocasa's bronzing lotion. It is so good. And it helps, shield everybody from the whiteout on your legs. Like as you go out for the first time in shorts.
It is so good. And you know what? Like I've used other natural bronzing type lotions in the past, like natural bronzing lotions that just really stink. And this one smells really good. And I think it's because it has a different action than those ones do, which I really appreciate. So I love the bronzing lotion. Other things that for summer are fantastic. If you're a blonde like me, summer can be hard on your hair if you're doing a lot of swimming and stuff. So I'm enjoying their shampoo bar. It's not called a purple shampoo bar, but I forget what it's called, but they have a shampoo bar that's specifically for like blonde hair that has been really good for me. And their hair detangling spray has been amazing as well. And if you're going to the lake or anything and you have little girls or even for yourself, I find it the worst. Like if my daughter gets out of the lake and her hair is out of control, if I can spray that on it and make our lives a little easier, it's fantastic. It really works really good.
I've been spraying, my middle has blonder hair. And so I've been spraying detangler on her hair before we get in the water.
Oh, that's smart.
And it seems to help. I learned this trick from another blonde because I think blonde hair somehow tangles more easily. I don't know if this is true, but this is what another blonde told me.
My hairstylist says my hair is very tangly. So maybe there's something to it.
Spray it on before. Get Rocasa's detangler spray it on before and help yourself out a little bit.
Yeah. Other summer stuff that you could look at, insect repellent. Always important. And obviously deodorant. You guys, when it's hot out, you want deodorant. And you know what's really cool? I was like, Rocasa has the best deodorant. In my drawer right now, I think I have five sticks of deodorant just because you need enough for the whole family when someone needs it. Here's your new bar or stick of deodorant. So those are the things we'd recommend in these months right now. So go to rocasaorganics.com or click the link in our show notes and use the code BOOMCLAP to save 20% off your first order.
All right, I'm going to read another message. This one says, as a 46-year-old mom of two older children, I feel like there are so many things I've learned that I would love to save others the heartache of, but I would never want to come across as a know-it-all or like I'm trying to say that younger moms are doing it all wrong. I recently went to a women's conference when a 90-something-year-old lady spoke on wisdom, and it was so, so good. She was very aware of all the new things going on with current events and so biblically wise. I love soaking up her words, and I wish I could do that for someone one step behind me, but it's sad that people take offense. And I think that's another thing too, like the willingness to listen. About that, yeah, we did talk about that. And I don't know. I do feel like our generation, and I say this as somebody who's 42 and has a podcast, like, and our generation broadly being like just people with kids, like young kids our age. There are a lot of voices out there talking and pouring into each other, but there's not a lot from the older generation. And
yeah, it's like peer to peer.
Yeah, it's peer to peer. And I think it's for two reasons. Like the older generation maybe isn't pouring in so much, and it could be because they don't feel like they're wanted, or because they just haven't taken the opportunity to grow in wisdom to be able to pour in. It could be multifaceted.
Or their lives are full, like caring for like sick parents or something.
Yeah, multifaceted. Yeah. But then like also is our generation willing to listen because, or are we just filling up with silliness on social media?
Yeah. Oh gosh. I think it's a little bit of everything.
I think so too.
And I think more and more what I'm seeing happen, and I don't know if this is just in church culture or the broader culture. I hope it's the broader culture as well. But I believe that there is an increasing appetite for that mentorship. from someone who's maybe not 4 steps ahead of you, but someone who is 1 or 2 steps ahead of you, someone who you feel like can really relate because they were just there. But like when I think of that 90-year-old woman giving a talk, it's just like, I wish I could have been there. I would have loved that, to sit under the wisdom of this 90-something-year-old woman who has taken it upon herself. She didn't have to, but taken it upon herself to stay current with what's going on so that she can pour into the lives of these younger women. And I don't know, I really think that there's more and more, at least the people are stating that they have a desire for mentorship.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're willing to accept all aspects of mentorship is a whole other question, because like a mentorship is meant to hold you to account also, right? Like not just to like be an encourager and give you all the pats on the back and everything that you need to make you feel good about yourself, but it's also to be like, to hold you to account. And are people ready to accept that? That's a hard thing. So I don't know. But I think it's exciting to think like maybe we're coming into a stage where people are a little bit more willing to accept this. But it comes back to that individualism conversation that we sort of mentioned. Like we've pushed for that for so long that people are just scared to stick their nose anywhere where they feel it might not belong.
Yeah. And feeling swept aside, I think. I'm thinking of about a year ago, I had went home and I had called my grandma, and sometimes she doesn't like to get out. She's amazing lady and does really well and everything, but sometimes she's like, I'll just stay home. And I had talked her into coming over for lunch. And so I went out to pick her up, and just the conversation on the way to my parents. I love talking to her. I love her stories. I love hearing about her life. My kids love it. The girls just love asking her questions and things. And some of the things she was talking about to the girls. And then she just, all of a sudden says, well, I don't know. Sometimes I just think I don't know anything anymore, and just kind of like brushed off everything she just said. And she's in her late 90s. I'm not sure if I said that, but has a lot of wisdom and a lot of life lived. And I think sometimes they, like the oldest generation, like the elderly, think that they don't have anything to offer anymore, when really it's the other way around. They have the most to offer, and a lot of us do want to listen. That's one thing. When I worked at the nursing home in college, there was a nursing home like right next to where I lived. And I worked in like kind of the skilled area where people needed a little more help and things. But there was an assisted living as well. And a lot of the wives or husbands like of the other people would come over, or the other wing would come over, and we would, chat. And I loved hearing their life stories. I always thought it was interesting. I've always had an affinity for the elderly and just hearing what they have to say. And I think a lot of people do. Yeah. We just don't hear from them very as much.
Yeah, there's so much to be gained just from hearing someone's personal history and what they've been through, right? But then also being able to recognize, as a person that's gleaning the wisdom from that person who has such an incredible personal history, that they're still alive and they're still living, and they have more life to live. And what could that look like, and letting them know that, hey, how can I come alongside you to help you continue in your journey that God has put you on? Like I think there's sometimes it's like, oh, well, they've kind of reached that point where now they just sit back and people take care of them and help them feel loved. And it's like, yes, but don't think they're not contributing, because they're still alive for a reason.
Yep.
And I think that somehow gets brushed over sometimes by younger people, but also by the elderly themselves.
In the village conversation, like the nurse, go back to what you're saying, but the nursing home portion of the village, that's part of the village conversation as well. Yeah. Like nursing homes are a real thing now, and they didn't used to be. It's just, there's so much to this conversation.
So much. Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. This conversation is so deep, but I mostly just said it because I want people to be thinking about it, because I feel like something's off. And obviously other people feel like something's off. And instead of just ignoring it. If it
strikes a nerve, it means,
we should probably be talking about it so that we can each individually work. And I think reading through that reel that I sent you that we saw afterwards, there was a ton of comments. And all from very different angles. I mean, some of them overlapped, but there were so many from very different angles. So it just shows that not everybody's experience is the same.
Yeah.
But most of us are experiencing that something's off. So
yeah. Yeah, it is really interesting. It's a good conversation, just, like you said, to be thinking about, because the way we think about a village really stems from the way we think about life and how we're called to live as humans, right?
Yeah.
So it's important.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to get into any current events things at all?
Sure.
Before we wrap up? Okay. There's a few things that I just thought were interesting to bring up. There is an article that came out, I think, last week about Joe Biden's decline and how it was so much more severe than anybody knew. And I'm going to tell you, okay, this is funny, actually. I'm going to tell you this really quick on the podcast. Okay. I was going to tell you this off the podcast because it made me laugh so hard earlier today, and it made my kids laugh so hard. I had a hat on and I was walking downstairs to get something. I opened our door in the kitchen area. I kind of opened it, but was walking faster than I presumed or something. And I bumped into the door with my hat. And my daughter goes, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "Oh, I just ran into the door just like Joe Biden." I don't even know if you guys remember funny. Before the election, there was a clip and he was opening a door, but he opened it into his hat and knocked himself way off balance.
I did not see that. That's
it was
hilarious.
Funny. And then Trump made it into a
some sort of music video?
A commercial where it said, "Visiting Angels, America's Choice for Home Care."
Oh my God. Of course he did.
Yeah. So anyway, that happened to me today. But
that's hilarious.
The current event, back to current events. People were saying or this article was saying how severe his decline was, more severe than anyone knew. And it's no, anyone who was paying attention knew. Yeah. Anyone who was paying attention knew, and you had to be blind not to know. The media knew, the same media that's now reporting how severe it was. And there's profiting off of it again. These stories are cycling these stories out and just, I don't know. Yeah. It's just very annoying.
It's annoying and it's predictable because when we had talked about this just briefly earlier, I said, it's just how, when anyone said, hey, maybe COVID started in a lab, that was crazy and you were ridiculed for it. And now it's oh, hey, COVID started in a lab.
Yeah.
So it's you knew, everyone kind of knew all along, even if you really didn't want to know it, right? Even if you didn't want to believe it was true, you kind of knew. And now it's like clockwork, enough time has passed and now we need some other agenda in mind. So we're going to write the truth. But yeah, it's such a funny thing how it goes. It's here's the story we want everyone to believe. So we're going to put it out there. Eventually, maybe we'll circle back and someone tell the truth, but pretend we didn't know all along.
But what's annoying, the most annoying thing is it keeps happening and somehow we keep allowing it. We just allow it.
Or falling for it, or just keep falling for it. Yeah.
But even if people don't fall for it, it just keeps... I don't know. It's just so, it's getting...
Well, it's how do you actually stop it?
Yeah.
Right? How do you actually stop it?
It's just very frustrating. Okay,
that's why Canada, that's why the Liberals won in Canada. Because people were Donald Trump is bad. And the conservative leader is just like Donald Trump, so you better not vote for him. Watch 4 years from now, it'll come out, oh, hey, actually the conservative leader was different from Donald Trump in all of these different ways. But it's people just believe what the media says. And then years later, they might circle around to what was somewhat true that people knew all along, but didn't really want to believe.
Oh, and even if he's exactly like Donald Trump, is the conservative, is Donald Trump worse than the liberal leader?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
So anyway, okay. So the other thing I wanted to bring up, and I don't really have a lot to say about this other than I'm not really especially excited, and people are going to be mad about that, but Casey Means was appointed as the Surgeon General nominee for the Trump admin. And it was Dr. Neshiwat before that. She was a Fox contributor, and I was not excited about her. I found her to be kind of one of those TV doctors that doesn't really... And I say that doesn't sound very nice, but I mean, like, doesn't really have a lot of background knowledge of much, but just like you can prop him up on TV. Yeah. Like a media doctor. And so Casey Means, I like the things she says. Don't get me wrong. Like there are things that I think are good about it because I do like the things she says. I'm not opposed to her being Surgeon General by any means. I'm just not really excited, mainly because I don't think these people in these positions should have as much sway as they do. Like there shouldn't be a need for us to be so excited about somebody being appointed to this position because we shouldn't need somebody in this position so badly. But I will say, like, I am happy that somebody has been appointed or nominated, not appointed, nominated. She still has to go through the confirmation process, but nominated to the position who does have a better view on just general, basic, common sense health. The things that make me like kind of not excited are just what I simply stated before, but also I've been trying to figure out, and you can tell me what you think about this, Cecily, trying to figure out a little bit why I feel like I expected myself to feel a little more excited about some of the things happening than I currently do. And I think I haven't fully sorted it out yet. But I think that part of the reason I don't is because a lot of the people in these positions don't have the same worldview as me. And I'm not somebody who needs everybody to have the same Christian worldview to be happy to have people in positions that are making similar decisions within the realm of their decision-making process. But a lot of the positions people are in do have beliefs that will lead different places. And let me give a few specifics on that. Like AI, for example, is one of the things, which I don't really want to get into a ton today, but also we've talked about the psychedelics. And I think Casey Means is very pro psychedelics. And I know nobody's really interested in this topic right now. So people are probably going to like tune out, but I'm telling you, I think this is one of the things that people need to be paying attention to, the psychedelic thing. I think it is one of the sleepers as far as topics that we should be paying attention to goes.
No, for sure. I like what you're saying about worldview because like I don't have a problem with secular people necessarily being in positions of authority either. Like I don't. But the thing about a worldview is that it is our belief system and it just informs every single thought and every single action, which is super important. And when we live in the world like we do right now, where everything is really tenuous all the time, you know what I mean? Like nothing really feels super solid all the time. You want to believe that the people who are really in these positions of power, that their worldview is going to do, like it's going to, like I said, it's going to inform their thoughts and it's going to inform their actions. And you want to feel confident that their worldview is going to lead everyone down a good path. So it's definitely worth thinking about, worth talking about. And it's why more Christians should absolutely get into politics. Which I know a lot of Christians don't really feel like, oh no, like I could never do that, or I don't want to be so divisive, but it's not. It's literally just bringing the Christian worldview into a space where it can have influence, where it can inform the actions of governments, which is huge. So I like the way that you pulled that out.
Well, it's the one thread I can find that goes from thing to thing or person to person that where I have reservation. And the other thing I do want to say, though, is there is a lot of infighting over the Casey Means appointment. And I'm not sure if you've seen any of it, but it's just like people.
I've avoided it.
Yeah. People bickering over, within the same side, bickering over her appointment. And this is one thing that I shouldn't say conservatives, because none of these people are really conservative, I don't think.
Right.
They're not necessarily Republican, but people
it's a new brand of
people
conservative.
on the Trump side of things right now, which was traditionally the conservative side prior to, they've never had that adhesive like bond that the Democrat side or liberal side does. Those people stick together no matter what. And that's how they get things done. And people on the right have never had that. And I've always tried to pinpoint and figure out what that is. But I think what it is there's typically a little bit more strong adherence to certain values. And when those values are, when there's something pushing up against those values, they don't prop up the person as readily.
Right. Well, it's a strength,
in some
really.
cases. In some cases they do. But I just, so it's like, that's a good thing. But at the same time, it makes it hard to get anything done. So I don't know. It's just
a good
random
thing
thoughts.
that can, it's a good thing that can weaken a political party if we're talking politics in a two-party system.
Yep.
But on an individual or a community level, it's actually a strength to have people that are like, hey, this is what I believe and it's absolutely worth fighting for and sticking up for. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Just interesting thoughts. Really not telling you what to think or anything today. Just like, this is kind of what I'm thinking about this. So anyway. Yeah.
That's good. All right. Is there anything else that we should bring up? I'm trying to think.
Probably, but it's probably good enough for today.
Save it for the next one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, you guys. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe or follow, click the bell, whatever the nifty little trick is on the platform that you're listening from. It just helps us to pop up so that you don't forget about the Boom Clap podcast, and you can listen to us whenever we have a new episode, which right now is bi-weekly. So this one's coming out May 21st. The next one would be 2 weeks after that. I can't quickly do the math on that because it
on Wednesdays,
a new month. On Wednesdays, bi-weekly right now. And if you want to find us outside of the podcast, you can find us on Instagram at Boom Clap Podcast, or individually, I'm on Instagram at Cecily.Dickey, or my website, thegracetogrow.com.
And you can find me at RitaRogersCo.com or Rita Rogers Co on Instagram. Thanks for listening.